First of all, just some definitions. So the menopause is a retrospective thing. It's when a woman will look back after 12 months of no bleeding and say that last period that I had is the menopause and I'm now postmenopausal. Perimenopause means around that time. Premenopause is still menstruating, and postmenopausal after the menopause. Usually occurs around late 40s, early 50s, and we will call premature menopause before the age of 40. Average duration of the perimenopause and symptoms can be anywhere from 5 to 10 years. Have a look at the hormone changes here, and we've got the age down the bottom. You can see the really drastic drop down of a lot of those hormone levels from around the age of 40. And you can see why people might get a lot of the symptoms and changes that they do, which we'll discuss in a different presentation. So remember, one of the main things that changes is the drop in estrogen levels. And estrogen has a number of roles in a number of different places throughout the body. There's receptors for estrogen in the uterus, the bladder, the brain, everywhere, and that probably does account for that huge range of symptoms that people get. In terms of menopausal hormone changes, we know that with that drop in estrogen, we get a higher risk of heart disease and high cholesterol. One of the main ones is osteoporosis, which is essentially thinning of the bones. What happens is that the bone resorption is accelerated while the bone formation continues at its usual rate. We know that the bone loss in the few years after menopause can be as high as 20% of someone's lifetime bone loss, so quite a significant amount in that short period of time. And of course, with a reduced bone strength comes an increased fracture risk. We have an increased risk of osteoporosis and fracture if someone went into the menopause earlier than we would expect, if they are on any steroids, if they've got any conditions in terms of bowel malabsorption, autoimmune arthritis, that kind of thing. A FRAX, this is the one on the other side of the slide, is a fracture risk calculator, and it's used to determine a person's 10-year risk of an osteoporotic fracture. So in terms of fracturing their hip, their spine, their forearm or their shoulder. And it's a way to determine if a person would benefit from some treatment specifically for osteoporosis. Also known osteopenia is kind of a pre-osteoporosis range.